It seems that Hollywood likes to spin the carnival wheel to choose which franchise to make into a modern blockbuster, whether it's a remake, a reboot, etc., without much care. It happened to Ghostbusters recently, and it's rubbing the franchise's loyal fans the wrong way. That's not to say reimaginings are a bad idea. The Hammer remakes of horror films rival the classics of the 30s and 40s. There's potential for good reimaginings in the future. King Kong vs. Godzilla is getting that update the fans have wanted for decades. The problem with certain reimaginings is that the team of writers and producers don't understand the franchise they're resurfacing, and it's showing a lot of disrespect for the source material and its fans. What's Source about? Who cares? We'll take the easy way out and bring them to the real world for that fish out of water story. What was Michael Myers' motivation for killing his sister in Halloween? I don't know. He was in a dysfunctional family, I guess? If you're going to reimagine something, you should try to surpass the original in its own playing field, not utilize tools that are popular at the time. The love message works in Frozen, but not in Maleficent, since it just feels out of place and it contradicts the characterization of one of Disney's greatest villains. I don't want the same to happen with the 1986 classic Highlander. For those of you who haven't seen it, this is a movie that has a limited number of people who are born immortal. They spend their lives searching for other immortals to decapitate each other, which empowers them, and when it all comes down to one, he will gain the ultimate power. It focuses on Connor McLeod, played by Christopher Lambert, who learns of his gift and is taught how to fight by another immortal, Ramirez, played by Sean Connery, who truly shines in this role, even more than as James Bond.
Tell me, how did it happen, for God's sake?
Why does the sun come up? Or are the stars just pinholes in the curtain of night? Who knows?
Centuries later, Connor lives in modern-day New York, where he prepares himself for his final battle against the vicious Kurgan, played by Clancy Brown. If the ultimate power falls in his hands, it's all over.
If he wins the prize, mortal men would suffer an eternity of darkness.
This movie is heavy with suspense and it puts you on the edge of your seat. 30 years later, Highlander has aged very well overall. It doesn't need a remake. The same applies for other classics. To Kill a Mockingbird is still an impactful masterpiece. Back to the Future is so iconic, a remake would be just wasted effort. I don't mean to come across as cynical. Maybe a remake would be on par with the original, and even more. But seeing as how stale and cliched the majority of remakes are, let's analyze how one would likely go, just for the fun of it. The story would be modeled after the original with a few tweaks to make it more modern. The internet would be heavily focused with articles and blogs about these mysterious beheadings going around. A few outdated jokes would be removed.
His Vietnamese neighbor ate his dog.
The Kurgan probably won't be Russian since the original was made during the Cold War, which is why a Russian character is typically the antagonist. We're over that kind of casting. These changes, I don't mind, but one that can ruin the movie would be in the climax where Connor and the Kurgan have their last duel. You know in recent movies where the hero only kills the villain in self-defense? Well, Connor's about to decapitate the Kurgan, but then like an idiot says, "No, I won't take another life because I'm the good guy." So he walks away. Then the Kurgan raises his sword and Connor swiftly cuts his head off. This would be stupid because Connor knows he has to kill the Kurgan. If he slips up, the Kurgan gets the ultimate power and it's the end of the world. But Connor wasn't a monster in the original for killing a few immortals. He was friends with a few of them and he prefers not to hurt anybody. But he can't let barbarians like the Kurgan get his way. Oh, and the movie would be rated PG-13 instead of R. So beheadings would be off screen, no spilled blood in battle, minimum cursing, and the sex scene with Connor and Brenda would be less graphic and briefer. I know PG-13 rated movies are the highest grossing, but with the success of Deadpool, maybe we'll be seeing flicks with the appropriate rating.
You talk funny, Nash. Where are you from?
Lots of different places.
Connor McLeod in the original is a real warrior. He's introverted, compassionate, good-natured, snappy, and not afraid to draw his sword to take a life when necessary. Connor in the remake would be a bland, mundane, uninteresting protagonist with a pack of abs to compensate for his zero personality. Why do actors need to be bodybuilders in these kind of movies? It's not that necessary. I don't think Guardians of the Galaxy would be too different if Chris Pratt had his 2009 body. Connor didn't need to be in tip-top shape to be a professional swordsman. That was the Kurgan's downfall. He thought his brute strength and intimidating demeanor would make him unbeatable.
You cannot win, Ramirez. I am the strongest.
My cut has improved your voice.
The focus should be on Connor's character, not his build.
Am I under arrest?
Not yet.
Then we're through.
Thanks. We're just getting started.
Brenda White in the original, played by Roxanne Hart, is a forensics pathologist whose curiosity has her digging deep into the secret of the immortals. She's bright, courageous to the right extent, and has a sense of humor.
Say when.
When?
She was great, and the movie didn't flaunt her for being a positive female character. She's humble. In the remake, she wouldn't be. She'd be too spunky and constantly bring up how she's not a damsel in distress.
I need you to scream for me.
Like a damsel.
I've played a lot of roles. Damsel in distress ain't one of them.
Look, if you want your leading lady to be a strong, independent woman, then don't acknowledge it. We can see for ourselves by what they say and do. Oh, and the ones that say they're not damsels in distress actually are. Cinderella 2015, needed saving. Jane Porter in Legend of Tarzan, needed saving. When Brenda was abducted by the Kurgan, she didn't obnoxiously snap at him. She was f***ing terrified like any of us would be. You don't casually talk to the Kurgan.
Look, I didn't mean it.
Don't ever speak to me again. Do you understand? Good.
Nobody gave her flack for being abducted by the villain because she already won us over. It's what you do that determines your character, not what happens to you. Don't ruin Brenda.
I can take care of myself.
Juan Sanchez Villalobos Ramirez, Connor's teacher and best friend. He's wise, lively, and has a good heart. He could have easily cut off the head of this neophyte to gain power, but instead, he passes his knowledge and techniques down to Connor to ready him for the Kurgan. The friendship between him and Connor is easily believable. It's one of the movie's strong points.
It's the devil's work.
You cannot die, MacLeod. Accept it.
Hate you.
Good. That is a perfect way to start.
Ramirez in the remake would be too dramatic and say the same predictable lines we hear constantly. People fear they don't understand, the war has begun, whatever. The friendship would be forced and awkward. They wouldn't smile in the scenes when they're together, and they would just acknowledge their friendship without any emotion backing it up.
How revolting.
The Kurgan is a really underrated villain. He's sadistic, bloodthirsty, callous, and loving every minute of it. When this guy isn't killing immortals, he's having fun putting people in danger and getting to their skin.
Mom!
Clancy Brown was having the time of his life in this role. The best scene is when he and Connor are in the church talking to each other.
What do you want?
Your head. And the prize.
They know they can't fight in holy ground, so he takes the opportunity to get Connor riled up for their fight. This guy is a great villain. In all honesty, the remake version may be the closest to the original. He'd probably be more sadistic and vexatious as a way of topping the original in quantity than quality, but I'm actually a little curious to see him in the remake, like I'm interested in seeing Gaston in Beauty and the Beast remake coming next year. I just hope he won't be forgettable. The same goes for all central characters.
Who are you? We are the same, MacLeod. We are brothers!
The late Michael Kamen score is one of the best I've ever heard. It's so majestic and just pulls you in.
Blood. Horse. Feel. Come on! MacLeod, come on! I feel her! Come on!
This score helps give this movie the best montage you will ever see in your life. Something special about it is that the main theme is covered multiple times to fit the mood of certain scenes.
what you're doing.
I think we should have a party.
Oh, no. I remember the last time we had a party.
If they got composers like Hans Zimmer and Brian Tyler, I'm sure they could whip up something superb, but Michael's score is hard to beat. Queen also contributed to the original.
Here we are, born to be kings. We're the princes of the universe.
Two of the most notable songs, Princes of the Universe, was used in the opening to set the tone, and Who Wants to Live Forever shows the grief in living far longer than your loved ones.
Who wants to live forever?
Worst case scenario, they cover Princes of the Universe with dubstep or whatever torture they did to the Ghostbusters song, and it would sound even worse than the remix in Highlander The Source.
We're the princes of the universe.
Ugh.
There can be only one.
Remakes done wrong are hated so much because they're not transitioning a beloved movie to a new generation. People will recognize that more than the original that captured millions of people's hearts. Highlander has a bad history of sequels that don't even hold a candle to the original. There is hope for a worthy remake as long as it understands what makes the original as good as it is. One has been in development hell since 2008. Since then, it was announced that Tom Hardy is playing Connor, and Dave Bautista will be the Kurgan. That's a good sign. If all this stuff I said before actually does happen, the remake turns out to be badly underwhelming, I won't brag and say, called it. This video is an observation on how reimaginings are so played out, and I don't want Highlander to fall into that category. If the remake proves me wrong, I'd see it no problem, and maybe there doesn't have to be only one. Good Highlander.